The Nerd Chat, an Xbox podcast.
Is a podcast celebrating all things gaming, food, and the good old days. Hosted by three BFFs, Daddy Diwali, Chipotlebear, and Bubble Boy and Seven.
And new intern, X-Bacon Gamin'.
This is Cortana. And remember, don't make a girl a promise if you know you can't keep it. As always, Spartans, see you online.
Matt, are you streaming this on your channel? Oh, hello. Daddy Diwali here, and welcome to The Nerd Chat, an Xbox podcast celebrating all things gaming, food, and the good old days. Making his return, and that's why we're recording actually a day early, is the official co-host, Chipotlebear. Chipotlebear, how are you?
I'm great. I just got upgraded to co-host. I got to change my title here in a minute.
I mean, it's been like that for a couple months, but okay.
That's fair. I'm great, man. Yes, to all the listeners out there, thank you so much for bearing with us this week. Not only is it Starfield Day tomorrow, which is a huge day for all of us in the gaming universe. It's so close. But the other reason is it is also my homecoming week at school. And so tomorrow night at our normal recording time, I will be hosting a bonfire with about 800 children in the dark. Ugh. What could go wrong? So we decided to record early so that I could do that. And of course, we could play Starfield tomorrow. So thank you for being with us. Excited to have Matt back with us again. Love being on the show with you, brother. And when we finish intros, I want to circle back to last week's episode, a couple quick things. So I'll take it back then.
Sounds good. And joining us as always is the tag along, is his official little what is that, your title? Yeah. X-Bacon Gamin'. Welcome back. Sorry you're not producing this week.
Hey, just it is what it is. Gentlemen, I went to the greatest concert these eyeballs have ever witnessed on Monday night. Duran Duran at Red Rocks was absolute fire.
Who's that?
Duran Duran, very popular band.
I don't know who that is. And making his grand return back-to-back weeks, guest star in quotes, Mr. MT Kennedy 7, Mr. M Ken 10, Matthew Kennedy. Welcome back. Glad you're here.
Guys, thank you so much for having me. I love being here with you all.
All right. So, Jose, you recently listened to last week's episode. But wait, before we jump into that, there's no warm up from Big Box this week, Jose.
To be fair, that's
Jose. There's no.
That's probably because we usually record tomorrow, so he was probably planning to write it. He's going to see this and be like, "Oh no."
Okay. But really quickly, we did have one quick shout out. We had one new sub on YouTube. Shout out to KB Dink for following us on YouTube. And then after Jose has a few questions for us, I'm going to get us started with some words from the Godfather himself, Todd Howard. So go ahead, Jose.
Can't wait. Two quick things. I wanted to actually shout out Matthew. I didn't know he was going to be on the show tonight, but Matt, thank you for stepping in for me last week. Always appreciate that, man. Also, a huge shout out to Luke Lore over at Expansion Pass. He shouted us out on his episode this week.
Oh, nice.
Because of some of the help that we're doing there. So shout out to Luke. He also started school this week. So thoughts and prayers, sir.
And thoughts and prayers to him because he's in the middle of a hurricane, apparently, and his roof is leaking. Live update. Roof is leaking. Probably going to have to replace it like I did from the hailstorm. So shout out to Luke. I hope you're okay out there, buddy.
Yeah, I do.
My neighbors across the street are doing that right now.
Yeah.
You can hear the hammers.
Isn't it? Oh, yeah, I guess you can. The other thing I want to bring up is the basketball question, which I thought was a great question for Big Box.
Ooh, let's hear it.
One that you all forgot. I cannot believe none of you said this. The only thing I would change is they need to make their seats about 6 inches larger, and they need to make the aisles also 6 inches larger, because I really enjoy going to basketball games, but Victoria and I went to one a couple months ago, and it was not very comfortable for me. It was very hard to enjoy, and we were on the first level. It's not like we were in the nosebleeds. Like I don't mind them paying the $15 a beer and the crazy expensive food, but man, give me a tiny bit of leg room. That would be the one rule I would
institute. That's for fans. We were talking about the game, like how.
But why do you think the fans get so mad, dude? Because everyone's all cramped in them seats. But if you want to make the game better, make the fans happy. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, well, there's Jose needed to make it be known that We need larger chairs and larger aisles to accommodate
Larger figures. Larger figures.
And I'm not even. I mean, I'm a
I
big
didn't
guy,
wanna
but I'm
say
like
it.
a manageable guy. But like, dude, it's ridiculous.
the Thank you, Jose. Anything else you wanted to add? Wait, I have something to add. Are we going to get the Chipotle or the breakfast burrito counter? Did you add 2 to the list from last week?
I got it. Of course I added 2 to the list.
Oh, we got a running ESPN what is that?
It's a ticker.
Ticker. That's what the ticker at the bottom. Look at that. Incredible. 80 update. We have 170 subs, 87 Popeyes spicy chicken sandwiches eaten, and 32 breakfast burritos. Wow, incredible.
Production value.
We need to be clear, like this is all time, not just in 20
the last week.
Exactly. So all right. So for our warm-up this week, besides Jose's thoughts there, I wanted to have an introduction. Exclusive internal memo from Starfield director Todd Howard, and this is coming from Jez Corden over at one of the worst websites spamming ads wise at Windows Central. Let's hear some words on the night before Starfield. This is what Todd wrote to the team. I knocked on Robert Altman's door. Got a few minutes? Sure. It was early 2013, we were developing Fallout 4, and Skyrim was still enjoying enormous success. I was there to pitch him our next game. It would not be a sequel to our current games. He looked concerned, but a grand space RPG and our first new IP in over 25 years. Looked curious. It would delve into creation and the search for our place in the universe. Slight twinkle. You would explore the galaxy in only ways video games can do. And it would be called Starfield, as he smiled. Sounds fantastic. Robert would be the very first to believe in us, no matter the situation. Our path to creating Starfield would be a long and winding one where we made other games along the way. Fallout 4, Skyrim Special Edition, Fallout Shelter, Skyrim VR, Fallout 76, Skyrim again. The core development from 2020 to 2023 saw enormous changes in our lives. A global pandemic, Robert's passing, and becoming part of Xbox. It's incredible to be at the moment where Starfield is finally launching this week. It only exists because everyone else believed as well. We've been supported for decades by everyone at ZeniMax, all doing their best work yet. Special thanks to our publishing teams who aim to create not just another release, but something that would capture the minds and inspire gamers everywhere. And to our partners in QA who had the difficult task of testing a game where anything can and will happen. And thanks to Jamie Letter and our admin HR teams who supported everyone during the most challenging years any of us have faced. And of course, there's Phil Spencer. His support of every game and every player has been unwavering and fierce. Joining Xbox brought us closer to so many we had worked with for over 20 years. I cannot imagine a better place to create games where the diversity of studios, creators, and games are allowed to flourish. This support came from the entire Xbox leadership team and all areas of publishing and dev support. Special thanks to the magicians at ATG whose spells and incantations helped make this our best performing game. Most importantly, is the team I work with at Bethesda Game Studios. It's an incredible blessing to be surrounded by so many talented and inspirational people every day. Moments like this make you reflect back. Some of us have been together for decades. Some joined more recently, but everyone has the same passion. I could not be prouder of their continued dedication to create something truly special. Lastly, a huge thanks to all of you within the Xbox and Bethesda family. Your enthusiasm and encouragement have meant the world to us. Creating this game has been one of the most challenging and thrilling experiences of our careers, a journey we'll never forget. And as we come to an end of this chapter, we pass it along to you. Each of you is receiving the game with early access and can begin playing this Friday, September 1st. But since it's one global time, you can actually play Thursday evening. Thanks, New Zealand. We hope you get a chance to play and that your journey is as rewarding as ours. All the best, Todd.
Man, sweet.
Man, you guys, I cannot wait. Any reaction to the Todd Father's words there? Matt, I'm gonna throw it over to you. Did that just inspire you? What is that?
The hairs, the hairs, the goosebumps,
The goosebumps.
The Todd Father has spoken.
He has spoken.
I mean,
you didn't even know we were going to be able to play tomorrow, by the way. Matt was totally shocked when I said we could play tomorrow.
No. I think it was more because I was like surprised. I was like, whoa, it's here.
It's here.
I've had this special order. I've had the special edition pre-ordered and everything's good to go. And
do you have it pre-downloaded?
I have it pre-downloaded in 3 different places. I don't think I'll be able to play on the PC because I'm getting the Xbox code, right? I don't think it's the same.
You can just download it on Game Pass. Do you have Game Pass? You can just download it on Game Pass. Yeah, there you go.
But the SKU, right, is a series. I feel like it's a console SKU versus a Windows SKU.
No, you bought the early edition.
It's a play anywhere. So you can do it on PC.
It's weird because Best Buy. Now we're getting off target, off tangent from Todd. But through Best Buy, I purchased it to get the Steelbook, but to get the Windows Digital, there is no Steelbook. So
I still think you'll be able to play whatever. Maybe
it's a long.
You'll see. Maybe
it's
a
long. It's a long weekend, so it's all good. But no, this was it was like you did a great job. You really had me like hanging at the edge of my seat. So it was beautifully read. But just this is all good stuff. He seems like super supportive and very thankful to.
I was gonna say very enthusiastic, very excited. Like this is what we need. Hopefully he's gonna stay around. This like rejuvenated him to do something new that wasn't Skyrim or Fallout. Whether or not it's as good as those games, I still think this game overall is gonna be a good rejuvenation for them as reignite their passion for games.
You nailed it right there. I mean, it doesn't matter what we don't have to talk scores or anything like that, but the fact that this is something so different, I think, reignites this love that they have for creating these huge RPGs and stuff like that. So well written. I love how he thanks everybody. He thanks the community. He thanks all the workers.
What did you guys think of the special shout out to Phil Spencer?
Awesome, man.
If it wasn't for Xbox owning Bethesda, when do we think this game would have launched?
Maybe back then when it was all buggy, apparently, right?
So having the financial backing and not being pressured by ZeniMax and Mr. Altman or Phil just said, don't worry about the paychecks, make the game right. So we're all better for this in the long run, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. And so I also
tomorrow we'll know.
Oh, I'm gonna have a blast no matter what. Like Matt said, it doesn't matter.
No matter what.
We're gonna love it. I cannot wait. Jose, I liked how they shouted out the quality control, right? And so they said that he specifically pointed out like this is gonna be one of our least buggy, most well polished games. So any closing thoughts on the words from Todd Howard and Starfield?
Yep, this is the only thing I could think of.
You're gonna see some serious shit.
All right, moving on. Let's move into some Xbox and other gaming news for the week, Jose.
News team, assemble!
News story number 1, also coming over on Windows Central, and I believe this was also, maybe it came directly from her Twitter account. Former Sony executive joins Xbox to lead Japanese partnership operations. Minasato Kato was previously the vice president of mobile business for Sony. She had been with Sony for about 8 years, and she has been hired by Xbox as the director of partnerships in Japan of the gaming ecosystem. And she says from her Twitter, excited to say I've joined Microsoft as director of partnerships in Japan at Xbox. I will be leading partnership efforts to support our Japanese partners globally, opening up a new chapter, unlocking new experiences in the game industry. I hope to see many of you at the Tokyo Game Show. Jose, I'll throw it over to you for the start. It's a running joke that Xbox doesn't really have a presence in Japan, but you got to give it to them. They keep trying, and then we've seen it with the Square Enix news, the Sega news, games coming to Game Pass, right? are they gonna? Is this gonna lead to some success, or is this just status quo?
So I have two thoughts here. So the first is being very candid. When I very first time, when I remember I was a teenager, my mom said, "Hey, Microsoft they're going to make their own video game console." It was like PS2, PS3 generation, and I was like, "Mom, no one is going to care about Microsoft. Like they're 30 years too late between Sony and Nintendo." And to all their credit, obviously to the point where we have a podcast show literally about this, and we're all pumped for their next drop tomorrow. Their perseverance is off the charts, right? And so while I hear what you're saying, Dan, and I certainly don't disagree with the sentiment that people think it's a joke that Xbox is basically not have a presence in Japan. I have to give them credit that they're not giving up. I mean, everything that we've seen over the last couple of years in terms of all the JRPGs, in terms of their pickups, in terms of their acquisitions, they're not giving up on that market because they know that it's a gold mine. And I mean, you could be pessimistic and say that it's also where it would hurt Sony the most because it's kind of their home turf, if you want to think of it that way. I mean, literally. But here's the other piece that I would say that I think is impressive. So as an educator, I've been very fortunate because of being a teacher to be able to go to Japan 3 times younger in my career, right? Very cool country, amazing culture, incredible trips. But one of the things that I thought was so profound, and this was only probably like 10 to 12 years ago, which I know a lot can change in that time, but the Japanese culture is one that is very, very nationalistic. They're very proud of their culture, their language, their history, and they should be. Like every culture should be like that. But where that becomes really prevalent is in the business world. And one thing that I even noticed when I worked with the teacher that took all the kids, because I was really like his assistant for all those trips, is that basically we couldn't get anything done over there without somebody who was a native, who understood the culture, who spoke the language fluently. Because my teacher, Scott Hargreaves, he speaks Japanese very fluently, but even he, with that, he still was considered an outsider. And so I really do respect this move for lots of reasons. I love that it's a female, not administrator, that's the wrong word, but higher up. And I think it's important that like someone who will speak the language, who will know the culture. I think it was a great pickup for us, man. Like for a lot of business reasons, I think they're playing smart baseball and hard baseball at this point, dude. So I'm really excited to see what it means for the future, dude. I can't wait. I need Final Fantasy Remaster, bud. That's what I need. And 7.
Speaking of Final Fantasy, MT Kennedy 7 just finished that. Will you ever play any Japanese role-playing games or Japanese games on your Xbox, or is that just strictly a Sony thing for you?
Just finished, as in I just finished Final Fantasy 16.
Sorry, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm actually playing the original Final Fantasy.
Yeah, which isn't on Xbox from the Pixel remasters. Come on, guys, it can't be that hard to port that over. I'm sorry, I don't want to hear excuses on that. But go ahead.
I mean. Never say never. It's, like you also have to remember, I'm so brand new to the ecosystem in general that playing a lot of these games, especially some of the older JRPGs, I already own them. So when when Xbox got things like the Persona series and stuff like that, that's huge. I own Persona 5 Royal on PlayStation. Had I not, I definitely would have given it a go on Xbox. You know what I mean? So it doesn't really necessarily matter where I play. My whole thing is, the more people get to play these good games. She's seems like a good leader. This seems like a really good partnership. And this is going to be a huge chapter for Xbox.
Yeah, they're building.
They're getting over, and breaking into the industry out in Japan. And then hopefully that leads them to other places, like Correct. PlayStation's got like that Heroes program, like India, South Korea, places like that. So, hopefully this is just, opening doors for more opportunities for developers all over the world that you and I might not have ever heard of, but are talented, incredible studios that are just looking for a chance. So,
Bacon, closing thoughts on this new hire from Sony.
For one, I have to shout out her name. It's one of the coolest names I've ever heard. That's pretty bad. It just continues to drive home the dedication and the want to break through in a market that has been, since the 360, pretty much vapor at this point. Between Phil showing up on Square Enix's stage and now taking it super serious and having a great team in who did Hi-Fi Rush again?
Tango.
Yeah, Tango.
Tango.
Wow, totally spaced that one. It just continues to show that the dedication and the drive to get some sort of a foothold in Japan. I had never heard of her prior to this, so this is all cool to me. And again, as I think Jose said, that continuing to put women on the forefront at Xbox is still a pretty cool thing to me, and she's probably going to do a pretty cool job. So I'd say look out for some more JRPGs coming our way soon enough. And I might have to start getting into them.
You should, bud. They're good. They're fun to do, man. Sea of Stars. I can't wait to play that eventually.
Yeah, I gave it a go, but I was like, wait, why am I investing myself into something?
Yeah, especially because you're going to play that and Baldur's Gate apparently
and
at the same time.
Wow.
And Sea of Stars and Starfield.
I will play that. We'll see if Stars. Sorry, that'll wait after Starfield and after Redfall. I might even delay Starfield until I finish Redfall tonight, boys. Just kidding. Let's move on to news area number 2. This is especially dedicated to X, Bacon, Game, and Rumor exclusive. This is coming from Windows Report. Legion Go will be priced at $799, and it will support an 8.8 quad HD 2560 by 1600 screen. Here are some other specs for you. It will have the AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme with AMD RDNA graphics, 16 gigs of RAM on board. It will have up to 1 terabyte SSD storage. Here's the big one, Bacon, a 2-cell 49.2 watt hour super rapid charge controller, battery capacity. Bacon, is it a good thing that I waited and didn't pick up the ROG Ally? Will this be the ultimate handheld? Are you impressed with these rumored specs? And are you going to have to swap out your ROG Ally to get the next latest and greatest in mobile PC gaming?
So that's the one thing about the tech sector is things move very rapidly. And if you spend your whole life waiting for the next thing and the next thing, you're never going to have
keep
anything.
waiting.
So
yeah.
It's just like me and my monitor search. I held out and now that 4K 240 hertz one's coming out. So this on paper sounds great. I've never had a Lenovo anything, so I cannot.
Bacon, I had a Lenovo Legion and I liked it a lot. Only problem is, compared to the Omen that I had, it got a little warm on the keyboard. And I was like, ooh, thermals weren't as good. But I was impressed with the build quality overall. But that was just a minor thing. And I just got a little bit more performance from my Omen. But go ahead.
And then also it has the exact same chip as the Z1 Extreme, which is also getting RDNA 3 support, which is going to give super resolution, should boost all the performance of any AMD product. So hopefully, and it's also supposed to be coming to the Xbox too. So hopefully it is what AMD touts. The problem I found with AMD at times, they make a lot of bold claims and they can't always follow through. So I'm hoping for the console only players that, you know, they could finally start seeing the full potential of their $500 boxes. And I hope PlayStation gets it as well. So, but as far as a handheld go, it looks very good. I advise not buying anything until you see independent reviews come out on anything, because it could be a whole lot of smoke and mirrors. But
quickly, is this battery significantly better than the other devices?
I want to say ours is 4,000 milliamp.
Okay. But you just compare less. The RGLA is less than the Steam Deck, correct? Or in general, or is it the same?
No, they have the same size. It's just the Steam Deck runs everything lower.
Okay,
and it doesn't have the same chip, which the Z1 Extreme requires.
And Chipotlebear and Matt, any closing thoughts on this or anything to add, or should we move on to the next story? Because I know Chipotlebear, he's got his ROG Ally back there, but to be honest, I can see the dust up there. And then last time I was at his place, it had not many updates had been happening on that thing. So.
Because it's not my daily driver, and that's the thing I think has been interesting. So interesting talking about, like, you guys were talking about the PlayStation Portable last week. I think this is a cool market. I love my Ally when I play it. Like, it's an amazing product, but it's not my go-to thing. So I think it's funny when people are like, well, this one has 4K, and I'm like, I don't know if I really care about a 4K screen that's handheld. You know what I'm saying? Especially if it's going to drain my battery faster. The battery is the thing that I care the most about.
Yeah.
Because that way I can play for long periods of time. So, like, It's cool. I mean, I'm not knocking Lenovo. I mean, Bacon, for the record, your wife has a low budget, very bottom of the line laptop from Lenovo from our school. If you want to check out what that's like. But I mean, I think it's cool that people are trying new things. I guess when I first saw this, my only thing was like, this seems like a crazy small market, right? Like I knew the ROG Ally was going to be a relatively small market because of the price tag and the sector, but like this one that comes out of nowhere, like you're competing now with the Ally, with the Logitech G Cloud, with the PlayStation Portable, like that. How many people are really going to go all in on this? I mean, I guess maybe if you're like a Legion, like that's your world.
I like their hardware.
I do too. I mean, I think I like their towers. Actually, was looking at one today because even though I don't need it or want it really, but
what?
We'll talk about that later. But I'm just thinking, like, how many people are going to do it? But I don't know. Those are my thoughts. Matt, what do you think, bud?
I mean,
that's a Switch guy.
I mean, I mean, I have my somewhere around here. I mean, you nailed it. I mean, if I'm looking for 4K, like high resolution with all these
only
frame rates,
1440, right? Bacon.
Even 1440. My monitor I'm on right now is 1440.
Right.
But if I'm gonna go for all this, well, I'm just gonna sit at the couch and put it on my TV. Now I know like this whole market is,
Matt, for that much money, $800, you get a pretty good gaming laptop. Like that's my thing. It's like just a little bit more. You could have a good gaming laptop that probably would have better battery life than this thing. But go ahead.
No, I mean you guys nailed it. Like pretty much like. We talked about the PlayStation Portal. I talked about how that is for me in terms of remote play.
Yes,
because if I want to do remote play without like all like the notifications popping up and then like getting disconnected from my PlayStation, but like for things like this, I've got so many other means of doing it. And if like you're gonna spend this much money on it, then what means do you have? And maybe you could also go a different route as well.
Yeah.
But, it depends. Like if you're a portable gamer, this is like portable gamers are like eating really well. Right now, I think. Like lots coming out.
And hopefully like in time, if it drops in price, make it more accessible, more people, that'd be cool as well. I mean, it's very exciting, but I'm going to wait and see, like Bacon said, let's see what the reviews are on this. But like Jose said, battery life for me, that's
King,
the big thing that I do appreciate the Switch's battery life, and I also appreciate the OLED screen. It is pretty nice. It somehow makes that 480. What is it? What's the resolution, Bacon? Is it 480p or something like that?
On what?
On the Switch? No, it's 720.
When it's docked,
handheld. When you're in handheld.
When you're handheld, it's all right.
No, when you're docked, it's better. When it's handheld,
yeah.
Is it that way?
720.
It's pretty bad. Let's move on to news story number 3. I'm pretty sure Bacon put this. I don't know why we need to talk about this because
it's official.
It's exciting.
It's official.
It's funny.
Bethesda has confirmed that the Elder Scrolls 6, which was officially announced in 2018, my God, 5 years ago, is in official early development. And Hines was asked if fans will hear more about that when Starfield launches. We have put all of our studio's focus on making this game the best it can be. And yes, there are people working on the Elder Scrolls 6 official, but this is what the studio has focused on. So no, you're not going to hear about the Elder Scrolls 6 anytime soon. Starfield is our focus now, and it's going to remain our priority for a while before we talk about anything else. And when asked to confirm if the Elder Scrolls 6 was still in pre-production, Hines said, no, it's in development, but it's in early development. Bacon. I mean, we already knew technically that this game was being made, according to 2018 news, but go ahead.
And logic.
It is official. It is now official.
But I mean, did you not think that was going to happen when Starfield launched?
Well, I figure once all the story and the artists and all that have done with Starfield, they've probably already moved over to this project. So they probably have people on this for quite some time, probably since 2021, I would assume. But to hear it from the horse's mouth, this is the next project, and it is officially underway, but I added this to the doc when I pulled it up this morning, and we only had like one story in there and no shout outs. I was like, well, we gotta get something in there. So I threw it in the doc. And then all of a sudden you went on a news spatter and just filled up.
Yeah, I was in a meeting.
And I got yelled
like,
at for adding too much stuff.
Filled this. So Matt or Chipotlebear, anything to add here, or is this like, yeah, we figured it was.
I thought this game was announced November 12th, 2011.
The day after Skyrim was released. Yes.
I mean, this is great news. Like, why not? I mean, I like Heinz. Like, it's funny how who wrote the Ryan Dinsdale. It's funny how like when you write quotes, like Heinz is quoted as saying no period. Was it a period? Was it a comma? Because it changes the way it's toned. Like no
period.
As no. No, it's in development. I mean, this is cool. Like, please, for the love of God, take care of Starfield.
Yes.
Don't worry. If there's a team working on this, like make it like a few guys, or a few people working on it. But I mean, cool.
Jose, so closing thoughts, or ready to move on?
I mean, I'm excited, dude. Like, I know what you're saying, Dan, and I am with you that like this is like kind of like the ABK deal where it's like we started talking about it and like 4 years later we're like, thank God.
Dude, that's been crazy.
But I'm saying the same thing here. Like we realistically knew as soon as Skyrim came out that they were going to work on 6 at some point. We obviously know Bethesda has the Fallout and Elder Scrolls were their big properties. Now we're adding Starfield. Like we're just getting into this cycle. But I still do I agree with Bacon that it's exciting, man, because these are games of generations. Like there will be memes and stories about these games for well after we're on this planet. So I think it's cool that they're continuing stuff. I think the one thing I will add is I'm curious to see what will happen with Todd Howard following Starfield, right? Like, and I'm not saying I want him to stay or leave.
He's hanging around. I'm thinking after. I think it's going to be one more Elder Scrolls and one more Fallout, and then fades off.
Are you serious? You're talking 15 years, bud.
He said in an interview at Gamescom, he's nowhere.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think he mentioned earlier. Like, I think he wants to see one final next gen. Literally, Fallout will be the next console.
Yeah, it will be.
And so, and he's going to do just one more of each, and then he can do whatever he wants because he's given us so much. So I agree, Jose, but let's just celebrate Starfield right now. Bacon getting crazy ahead of himself. Bacon, did you install Starfield on your ROG Ally? I just want to make sure we're going to do that tonight.
And I just fired it up again to make get the update, and then I got all the other updates so I can play this at work on Friday.
All right. Speaking of Starfield, continuing on with the Bethesda Starfield news story number 4. I titled this "Arrest That Man." Starfield leaker who shared 45 minutes of gameplay arrested after selling copies online. He had no comet sense. And this is coming from Victoria Kennedy over at Eurogamer. A man who gained notoriety for leaking 45 minutes of Starfield has been arrested for handling stolen goods, reportedly including copies of the game he attempted to sell online. As spotted by the ever keen eyes of the Starfield community over on Reddit and shared by U.S. arrest site recentlybooked.com, 29-year-old Darren Harris was processed by the Shelby County, Tennessee Sheriff's Office earlier this was on August 24th. Harris was charged with a theft, property valued between $2,500 and $10,000 USD, theft of property valued at $1,000 or less, and for possession of marijuana. Guys, recently, but I kind of want to click on this. First of all, this is so bad, but I'm looking at, what do you think? Does it say, I'm looking at the recently booked right here. What do you think what kind of jail time are we looking at? Can anyone look that up real quickly? Well, Jose, do you think that this is appropriate? I just wanted to bring that up because I thought it was hilarious, but also at the same time, do you think he's going to get some serious jail time for this, or do you think he's going to get a slap on the wrist, Jose?
That's a great question. I am not part of the law network to be able to give an insightful response here. But my opinion here is that honestly, for this guy, that this is caca, right? Like I applaud that he's getting in trouble, and not because I'm like a narc and I want people to suffer, right? It's because
snitches get stitches.
These properties, people work so hard on, dude. And I'm not talking a team of 5, a team of 10, and and it's their pet project. We're talking hundreds of people, tens of thousands of man hours, and we're on the eve of this thing coming out to the public. And you have people like this who are just spoiling it for the people who just want to enjoy it. And look, man, I'm being very honest with you. I really have tried to have mostly a media blackout. I've seen things here online.
Have you seen? Has anything spoiled for you, Jose?
No,
like
no,
TMNT?
nothing story. Nothing story.
I do want to say quickly, I like muted words, Starfield specifically on my timeline. I'm still seeing Starfield pop up, and I'm like, what's going on? X
you're
platform,
trusting Twitter. That's why.
Like, what the heck? But I haven't seen anything. Thank goodness. I'm just gonna go completely dark tomorrow and then get into it. But go ahead. Sorry, Jose.
But and I've seen things from people that already clearly have review codes and stuff like that on both sides of the spectrum, to be honest with you. Nothing spoiled. And all I keep saying to myself is like, I don't really care, because I really am excited. It's like a Skyrim game. I'm sure when Skyrim came out, not everyone loved it. I think a lot of people kind of were like, oh, it's cool. I'm lukewarm, but it just took time to like really get into that universe. Like, even I didn't play it when it came out. I played it years later, and I still loved it. But that's where I'm at with Starfield. And so when we talk, getting back to the article, I really dislike people that are doing this kind of stuff, man, for their 10 seconds of fame. Because here's the truth, man. This name, if you were to ask me this name a year from now, there is not a chance in hell I would remember his name. You know what I'm saying? And for as much as like he's causing issues, and I would be so mad if I was one who got spoiled by this guy's leak. Like, that sucks, man. Don't be doing that. It's the same thing with like the people that were on stage. I know you guys talked about that last week, the Bill Clinton thing. That annoys me, man. I don't really think it's that funny. I just am like annoyed. Like, just leave it alone, bud. Let everyone just have their fun. And if that's not for you, then don't go. Because the other part that this ruins, like with the Gamescom thing, is like, now the public's not going to be welcome to these events, dude. And like, the four of us, even though we're very good looking and very smart people, we're not part of that, like, that celebrity that's going to get into Gamescom. If
we're not getting any Starfield merch, Ains. Okay, sorry, we're not an influencer.
So that's what I'm saying. But like, I hate that people are ruining this for other people, dude. So anyway, I'll stop my rant now. I'm going to go update my ROG ally while you're talking.
Matt, any reaction to this?
I mean, Jose just said you don't know if he's going to remember his name. Do you guys remember the name Gary Bowser? You remember the guy?
Yes.
He was he was the one that he was part of that hacking group for like Nintendo. Like they had,
I was gonna say
hacked,
it was
like
Nintendo.
Switches, and he's getting like 25 to 30% of his income. Garnished for life. He owes like $15 million. Dude,
Nintendo
like
doesn't mess around.
So I mean, this guy's gonna be paying for life. Is that gonna happen to this guy? Nope. Probably not. But maybe they look at some things and say, hey, like maybe they took a look at like the ABK deal. Maybe they take a look at like, what this guy Gary Bowser and this like hacking group did. And maybe they see that, the video game industry is a pretty big deal, and that there's some American dollars here, and that we might have a case. I don't know. You never know, but like it could be bigger than we think.
Bacon,
this is Bacon's territory. I want to hear Bacon
on the arrest. What are these charges?
There's an old saying in my old field that we don't catch the smart ones, and this guy's prime territory. Put your face all over your post. You're stupid. So he deserves whatever he gets. The problem with this crime is it's not his inflated value of what he's selling these products for. It is the value of each individual copy of Starfield that he stole from his employer. The problem there lies in each state has its own sliding scales for what makes it grand larceny or a misdemeanor or felony. And I think Colorado used to be $1,000 made it a felony, and then we bumped it up to like 50,000. It's ridiculous to get a felony on theft nowadays.
So this is going to be.
I'm assuming this is going to be a misdemeanor. So I don't know if they can get him for anything with trade secrets or whatever, or because he's
what
not
about the
marijuana?
Marijuana. The marijuana.
Unless it's Texas, it's just a petty offense in this mug. So I can't imagine. I mean, he's not going to have a job anymore, so that's punishment. But guy's an idiot. He's a clown. If you're going to do this, you need to sell it on the black market. You put it all over your socials. I mean, like I said,
where is the?
Gotta be smart.
It's in
Facebook
the dark
marketplace.
Is it behind Walmart?
But it's shockingly stupid, but still laughable at the same time. And he shared it with cell phone footage, and it was just terribly grainy and just awful. I did not see it, but I saw his face all over everything, so I know who he is. So he's an idiot. So he deserved it.
Moving on to the final major news story of the week, and I'm going to go over to MT Kennedy 7 here because he is in the PlayStation ecosystem, and I want to hear your thoughts as a PlayStation fan. PlayStation Plus has increased, and of course, this is news story number 5. 12 months now. Essential is $79.99, up from $60. I want to say. Extra is up to $134.99. Extra is the plan I think provides you hands down the most value.
That's the one I'm on.
And premium has raised up to $159.99. Of course, this broke the internet today. A lot of people are upset about this. I am a PlayStation Essential Plus member, and I only have it for the cloud saves for when I was playing Elden Ring. I don't want to renew it. I wish I didn't have to play for cloud saves, but of course, I'm paranoid about my save being deleted or my trophies not saving. That's the only reason I have it. So, Matt, what was your reaction to this news today?
My first reaction was to check when mine last updated, which was
Stack
actually
it up.
which
Stack
was
it
actually
up.
10 days ago.
Ooh.
So I'm clear. Yeah, you know what? I'm a sucker. I pay for premium now, and I don't even know why. But they're not offering anything necessarily new to the service.
But
we're
are
not
they
getting
going
those
to, Matt? Do you think
not-
they're setting that up?
Okay, so we don't have those first party titles day and date like Game Pass does, and this is still, the premium is still cheaper than Game Pass, correct? Game Pass just went up. What is it like?
True,
17?
not unless you stack it like me or buy a bunch of cheaper cards at Costco and then stack those. Like these.
I really need to start doing that. That's sweet. But at the same time, like, so yes, are they setting something up? And if they are, then why piss people off first? Give us the good news, because everyone knows that prices are going to go up. Like, prices go up all the time, but tell me something good so that this is a little bit, like a little less salt on the wound. You know what I mean? Bacon,
Since you were so quick to post this, to be fair, we have seen an increase in Game Pass. It is $17 a month, if I'm correct, for Ultimate. But if you're smart about it, you really should never have to pay that much. Like, if you're really smart about it, like I said, go to Costco, stack it up, get the discount, save your money. But even if it was that much, I still think it's completely fair because of the money you're saving with like, I would have bought Forza. I would have bought Redfall, sadly. I would have bought, actually not sadly, I'm enjoying Redfall. I would have bought Starfield, and I would have, there's probably one more I'm forgetting. What's the other fourth? Oh, Hi-Fi Rush. So that alone has saved me money. And then I've played a bunch of games on there this year. So Bacon, give me your fair thoughts, not your hatred of the Sony Pony Express thoughts on the price increase.
Let's be honest. If it wasn't for the cloud save issue, I know Matt would be subscribed, but would any of us?
No, I don't think he would.
subscribed?
He doesn't even play online. He doesn't play games online.
And do you ever use the free games that show up?
yes.
You do.
Okay.
Okay.
No. Yeah, I play a lot of those games, and I use the cloud saves.
And do you
I'm not a multiplayer person. It doesn't mean that I won't be.
being a premium guy, do you feel you're getting your PS3 streaming value out of that? Because that's what I heard a lot in Twitter Spaces today. Nobody believes premium is close to worth to what they're paying.
No, so yes, I do have premium. Do I think that it's worth it? No. Do I personally see the value in it in terms of, this is where it becomes subjective, right? Like, my bank account versus somebody else's bank account. The extra $1 a month versus for me versus maybe somebody else. So that's where, like, it gets a little, mud in the water. I think it's worth it because I hold out and I have that collection.
So
do I want to see more value though? Yes, absolutely.
So for me, being an extra subscriber, and I just got Far Cry 6 and Alan Wake last month.
That's the best tier right there.
So I don't think I have enough time in my life to support two subscription services because I have a plethora of games to play on PlayStation. I'm also on PC and Xbox. So I have to make a choice here because even I told myself I was going to play all these games on PlayStation and I just don't do it. This thing just sits here and collects. I still haven't finished God of War, like wild to me. And I wasn't going to renew this year, but then Sony gave me like $25 off. So I paid $75 for the year of extra. So I was like, well, that's a no brainer. I'll play lots of games on there. The general consensus, I was in like 15 Twitter spaces today listening, that they are mad. Are they as mad as we were when Xbox tried to double games with gold or Xbox Live? I don't think they're as mad because maybe Sony doesn't listen.
Think if Xbox would have done it with this core announcement, that probably would have made more sense. But yeah, go ahead.
So I personally won't. And now that I think about it, I don't care about my cloud saves anymore. So I'm actually going to completely just cancel when it's due up in June, all of my PlayStation stuff until they come to PC, and the cloud saves will be there in Steam. So I don't have to worry about that. I find it hard to believe that they are doing this without adding any extra value to this program, but you think they would put the value add in when they drop this bad news. I cannot believe they went up 33% on this service and they're not adding anything to it. So I don't know if Jim Ryan's a mastermind, he's got something in the background working. I'd have to assume they're going to PC date here soon because this makes zero freaking sense. And they're going to have to make up that 30% they're losing selling on Steam, and they're making up this way on the backs of multiplayer. I can't wrap my head around this rate.
Well, I think I was listening to Kind of Funny. I was listening to Greg and Blessing talk about it, and they were basically saying that even with the amount they're going to lose from the people like you quitting their subscriptions, the people who are just going to keep continuing to pay it, they're still exactly with the extra money, like exactly like Matt. So, I mean, it is what it is, but I'm hopeful that either, like Bacon said, we start to see more games on PC sooner, or day and date, or maybe first party. But even then, I probably wouldn't subscribe. I just like to buy my PlayStation exclusives way later for like $20 or whatever. So, closing thoughts, Matt.
Oh, I mean, maybe they like you guys were all saying, maybe there is something in the works.
Yeah. Quick.
That could.
Did Chipotle go?
Oh, Chipotle, you have anything to say?
That's it.
I am not a subscriber of
PSN. Moving on, quick. We're going to clump these into the final quick stories before we get into our Jedi Survivor spoiler cast. And I just want to give these quick announcements. So this is news stories number 6. Just a few quick things. Sea of Stars reviews are in, and this is some of the reviews coming in from Shinobi. 10 games for 10 Prima Games, 9.5 well played. PSX Brazil 9, Screen Rant 9, Nintendo Life 9, Game Informer 9, IGN 8, Push Square 8 from Game Reactor, 5 out of 5 Dexerto, 4 out of 5 Eurogamer, 4 out of 5 Digital Trend, 4 out of 5 Hardcore Gamer, Metacritic 93, Open Critic 95. I do believe I drafted this one, so yes, I will be playing this. If I didn't have 3 games get delayed, and if Redfall didn't count me minus 20 points, I honestly think I was sitting pretty good, because I think all of my picks were at 80 or above, and everyone else has like 70s in there. So, but I'm going to lose because of my pick. So that's everybody go play Sea of Stars after Sea of Starfield. Next quick announcement: Stalker 2. We have an official release date. Or release window, and it's coming from Pure Xbox. It will be in early 2024. So exciting. I'm excited. That I think that's a perfect time, beginning of the year. Jose unfortunately drafted that one, so he will lose out points on that, but it doesn't matter. Jose's killing it, so he's gonna win it. He had the most consistent picks. He didn't have any. He had one banger so far, but has another one coming in Spider-Man, and he's sitting pretty. And then
you play to win the game.
And then the last quick news story: Warhammer 40K has an official console release date. That's right. For some reason, it's launching on Series X and S on October 4th. The October flood of games continues. I did watch some of Kind of Funny plays on this. This does look like a fun little co-op, horde-like shooter. Bacon
has to be co-op.
So I just wanted to do those quick announcements. That has been your Xbox news for the weeks. Now, gentlemen, let's jump into the topic we have all been waiting for. Spoiler warning. Jose, spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. Can I get it? We are going to spoil the caca out of Star Wars Jedi Survivor right now. So if you have not played the game, go ahead and skip ahead. I'm always good about timestamps. We're going to talk about it, and then we'll close the show like we always do with best food, or if we have time, what we have been playing and or watching. So let's get into it, boys. Matt's camera is blurry as caca, but as
I don't know
tries to fix that, let's jump into. I figured we go kind of chapter by chapter, guys, and just share our thoughts about Star Wars. Or do we want to start off with just a quick review, like a quick number? What would you give it, or how do you want to do it, Jose? What do you think?
No, let's do numbers at the end.
Okay.
I mean, we can go chapter by chapter, talk about things along the way.
Sounds good. So let's start out with chapter 1. In Jedi Survivor, of course, you start out on Coruscant. This takes place 5 years after the events of Jedi Fallen Order. Cal Kestis has been captured and is taken to a senator on Coruscant. But Cal wants to access some military intelligence and has staged his capture. His new associate, Bode Akuna, is part of this ploy, and they're secretly working with Cal's team, which consists of a few others, blah, blah, blah. Basically, the ninth sister, who made a memorable appearance, which I actually don't remember, in the last game when Cal cut off her hand, surrounds Cal, and Cal's team and senator demands her help, but instead she's upset with the senator for harboring a traitor, presumably Bode, and immediately kills him along with most of Cal's crew. Here, Cal gives the ninth sister, who uses her dark side of the Force, a chance to return to the light. She refuses. Cal defeats her in combat. Cal and Bode manage to escape, but Cal's ship, the Mantis, is damaged. As the Empire's most wanted criminal, it seems that there are a few safe places for him to get it fixed, so he opts to drop by and visit his friend Grease down on everybody's favorite planet, Kobo. Guys, what did you think of the opening of the game? I thought it was phenomenal. I loved Coruscant, the opening. I thought it was a great little introductory level. I was like, oh yes, hopefully all the planets are going to be this short and simple size. Matt, I see you smiling over there. Give me your thoughts.
I find it like, I was like, you don't remember the fight with the ninth sister? Like, it was like in the treetops and stuff. Like, it was, that was like not an easy fight.
It was a hard fight, dude.
That was very hard. So I actually replayed
I should have
Fallen Order before this came out. I don't even know how I found time to do that, but when she shows up here, that was mind-blowing, because she like, I feel like she had something like on her hand that was covering.
Is that bad that I don't remember? That wasn't,
because he cut the hand off and he let her live. But what was, and spoiler cast, right? But what was super cool is he killed her. And that right there was like, I kind of thought that was like some foreshadowing into some of the crap that goes on later on in this game, because
why? Because Jedi can't kill people?
Oh no, that's a huge no, bud.
That's a huge no, man.
They can kill stormtroopers all they want.
I mean, all they want.
Well, technically, they're deflecting their blast,
people.
and then they're killing themselves.
So that's okay. So if you kill the peasants, that's okay. But if it's a Jedi or Sith or someone who has a chance,
the storm, a lot of the stormtroopers might still be. Oh, anyway,
they killed Darth Maul. Yeah.
So
exactly
first, bud.
Okay,
but this was a big. I thought this was like a really cool fight. This is a big deal. Super random and very fanboy Star Wars question.
So right off the bat, you were like, "Ooh, what's going on with Cal?"
This was dark, right?
Okay.
This was like, this was pretty dark, and it was like there was like even a pause and a wait. Did he like cut her head off in this? Like, you saw like,
I was like, you know what?
I think he cut her head off.
He's one of the Jedi survivors, Matt. He's got to do what needs to be done. Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Did you guys read the fan fiction book?
No.
It takes place 5 Okay, so in this game is 5 years after the events of Fallen Order.
Yes.
There is a book. It came out.
It talks about
it actually came out the original launch day of Survivor, but Survivor was pushed back. So this actually came out early. So I had a chance, or anyone had a chance, to read it before the launch, and it takes place in those 5 years between the two games. So it gives you an idea of where everyone is and why they've separated. So seeing
So
this
you-
scene.
So you had a better
Oh.
idea about all this than we did, because I was like, where the heck is everybody? Like, what's going
Oh,
on?
I mean,
here?
yeah, I you know all that happens because it's set up for a book. So it's like a super like fan fiction book. But I do recommend reading it. It's not a bad read. It's a quick read too, and it's a lot of fun. And it'll tie up some loose ends for you. I mean, now that you finished it, but this fight was a big deal. Like, this was a big deal. This was super surprising, and they nailed it right in like the first opening hours of the game.
Guys, do you have anything to add, or can I read the next part?
I'll add real quick.
Sorry for
I
taking
just-
so long.
Oh, you're good.
No, I agree. I agree with Matt too. Like, I thought I was knowing the lore about the Jedi in the universe. Like, it was a huge deal that he killed the ninth sister.
Mm.
And I had heard that there were rumors that in the lore of Star Wars, there's this thing called the Gray Jedi, and the Gray Jedi is basically someone who like rides the line of the light
you have
and
to
dark
spare them?
sides. No, and they kill people. Like, that's the big difference between a Great Jedi. And so I'd
that's
heard that there
Cal.
was like Cal was like maybe going to become that kind of like mythological character. But the one thing that I was really surprised by in this chapter was when all of his friends died. Like, I was playing
I
and
agree.
thinking like, oh, this is going to be like the new crew. I'm going to
The
get to
new
know these
team,
people.
yeah.
Cool. Like, I like the little peppy girl. And then it was like, nope, dead.
Dead.
They're all
Very Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that was a surprising piece
Yeah,
for me.
I agree. Only thing I want to add is, and I told Bacon this from the beginning, I was like, I don't like Bode. Before
You did
anything
say that
happened later
earlier.
down the
You didn't
road,
trust
I was
his
like,
ass, bud.
like, I don't like him. I just didn't like him. Like, from the beginning, I was like, this guy sucks. And I just,
Really?
and I didn't anticipate, I guess I wasn't, well, we'll move on. But I from the beginning, I was like, dude, Bode sucks. I don't want him around me. I was like,
So,
get this guy out of here.
For me,
Quickly, Bacon.
real quickly, on launch day, this was, of course, the opening area that was terribly plagued by performance issues. So
See, mine was Kobo. This
it
was
did
fine for
kind
me.
of have issues for me, but I love anything on Coruscant. The
it's
city
cool.
planet is so awesome. The colors were awesome.
Right off the bat, the wall running and jumping.
Yeah,
Love
and
that.
it was kind of having a lot of your skills right away, not having to walk around in a wheelchair until you get this. It was pretty cool. So I did like how it set up and set the stage, and it was a little darker than I was expecting. So I think it's a theme through this game of Cal struggling with fighting the dark side. So
Yep, we'll get into that. So we're moving on to chapter 2. Cal gets to Kobo. He fights the Bedlam Raiders, finds Turgle. Shout out to Turgle, hilarious. Grease invites Cal to set up shop and directs him to a smuggler's tunnel where he might be able to find the part he needs. However, the ground gives way and he falls into a Jedi chamber where they freeze Z, a friendly droid who's been stuck there for a very long time. Through a flashback, Cal can see a woman named Centauri Kree who used to own the droid, and she wiped Z's memory but left her with a tuner device. And this device especially looks like the fake device Turgle sold Ravis, indicating it must be valuable. In the flashbacks, Centauri tells Z to head to the forest ray, where Centauri tells her she'll find the key to Tanalorr, noting, if you do not hurry, I feel it will be lost forever. This is a secret location within the Kobo abyss, making it difficult to find and access. She asks Cal to help fulfill her duty. So Cal heads to the forest array to find Dagan Gera trapped in a Bacta tank, who, through more flashbacks, Cal learns is a High Republic Jedi who had a close relationship with Centauri. Notably, at some point, Dagan had lost an arm in these flashbacks. Cal also learns that Centauri and Dagan found Tanalorr together and wanted to use the location as a haven to train young Jedi so they would be safe from the threats of the Empire. However, during the flashback, Centauri and Dagan were interrupted when two faced an attack from marauders called the Nihil. Is that how you say that? Cal releases Dagan, soon learning that Dagan betrayed the Jedi Order because they didn't want to follow suit for his plans. And basically, Dagan runs off, and Cal recruits Grease to join him on the Mantis, and the two head to Jeddah to find what's her name again?
Seer.
What is it? Seer. Junda. I didn't know it was her last name. Who they can offer some direction. So my biggest problem here was Kobo was overwhelming. This is the point of the game where I was like, ooh, this seems like there's just too much to explore. I felt overwhelmed. This is where I got serious performance issues. They even sent Bacon and Jose those clips. This is where the game was kind of losing me. And I was like, I really liked how it started with Coruscant. Guys, what were your thoughts on Kobo? Bacon, what about you?
I agree. Kobo was a lot to take in. There was a lot of areas to explore, and you had to go back there and reopen areas after doing other things. You get it. It's the hub world of the game. It's where everything is done through. But I loved the setting and the scenery.
Beautiful. It did look good. That opening scene where he stops and looks at the vista.
I could have done without having to deal with Grease and all his buddies at the bar. And
that was kind of weird.
All the fill stuff that they put in to try to prolong games these days. None of that was vital to the story, but still did it because I was trying to get
Force tiers were cool. Right. And shout out, we were talking about this last week. What were they? The agility stuff that you had to do. But then very highlighted the game for me.
That's where we ran into most of our hard bosses, the Schnarlogs and Blarlargs and the one-eyed freaking dragons we had to fight. Right. So that's where I ran into most of my trouble was in Kobo.
Yes.
It was
difficulty.
I stayed on the base difficulty. I only had to drop it down one time. We'll talk about that in a minute. But other than that, I mean, Kobo was fine, but it was like you said, it was too much. They could have cut 20 hours.
They could have made that just literally in half.
Just get the powers, start the quest line, release Mr. Dagon. They could have done it, but I get it. So people want their value.
I did like the separate areas though when you had like a mission specific spot though. Those were cool, but the whole, like you said, the filler spots overwhelming. Jose, any thoughts on Kobo, or are you ready to?
No, I'm pretty similar. I experienced some of the performance things that you did too, Dan, but honestly, it really didn't bother me.
Were you on performance or quality? Performance?
Whatever the default is, because I didn't change it.
Wow, quality, you guys. See, he's one of the casual gamers.
30 FPS gamer.
I'm not a casual gamer. I play like it just doesn't bother me that much. What I will say is that I agree with you about it was very overwhelming. And I think my issue, because I don't mind the map. I know Dan's going to talk about the map at some point, that he hates it and stuff like that. I think the map is fine to navigate.
With it. I think it's as good as you're going to get.
What kills me, and this might be just me being an old gamer at this point, that middle-aged gamer, is like, I really value games that tell me when I have been somewhere on a map. Like, think of like a Resident Evil 2 era, where it's like, when the room is red, you have not been there. You know what I mean? And so that was the part that I struggled when they were like, oh, it's in the mine. And I'm like, which mine? And because of the way that the map is designed, they do give you like the marker of like, that's the general direction you need to go. But that was like, that just didn't work well with like my mind. And so I was a little frustrated that I don't mind the Metroidvania of it. I think that part's cool. I would have gone back to do a lot of those other things that I knew at the time, like clearly I can't get to that ledge, or I need to break through this wall. I don't have that power to do that yet. But I forgot where they were. You know what I'm saying? Like, I forgot where the spaces were. And so I couldn't.
And then you would unlock things that would show it on the map much later on. And that's kind of like, maybe if that was earlier, or like for each planet you could get it sooner, or even like buy it with like XP or something. I think that's where developers need to recognize is that if you're going to make us collect things, let us have access to ways to find it or mark it quicker. Like Jose said, like, I shouldn't be getting lost out there or stuck on, you've explored 98.7% of this planet. Like, great, where do I got to go now? If you're trying to complete it. So Matt, closing thought. Oh, sorry.
Hang on. One other thing. The other thing I will say is it, because you do get introduced to a lot of those side things. Again, I don't mind that there were like collect the discs and collect these things. Like I like those things.
Priorite shards. I got
priorite
all
shards.
100s.
Oh my God. But what I honestly pretty quickly was a little annoyed by was that like it was to just buy the same kinds of things. And what I mean by that is like when you first get to the store and you can buy a couple of hairstyles, a couple of color schemes, and a couple of like body styles for like your saber or for
it really wasn't worth it.
I was kind of like, okay, cool. Like I want to get a couple stuff. I want a Trailer Park Cow. I really respected Bacon's outfit. I want to do the same thing. Right. But after that, I was like, is that really all I'm collecting all these things for? Like, there's no additional weapons. There's no additional abilities. There's no,
it wasn't
really that significant.
Nothing. Right.
And that I I don't want that. I know, like, I think again, I don't want to compare this to Resident Evil because they're not even the same games. But like, I really love in Resident Evil where it's like, if you get enough money, you can buy a grenade launcher.
You can buy a
Or if
rocket
you get
launcher.
enough money, you can buy this crazy semi-automatic with a thing. Like, I don't want that in Star Wars for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But like, I would have happily worked
A
harder.
more
if they were like,
rewarding incentive.
even I like the black blade, like the dark saber. I'll collect all the priorite shites if I can have the dark saber. But you know,
As
what I mean?
long
Like,
as they mark them easily, though.
yeah. So you see what I'm saying? Like that part, I was just kind of like a little. Even the rooftop garden, I thought was cool, and then I was like, "What What do you get for doing this?"
Nothing.
And the answer is nothing.
No, you
I
know
was
what
like-
you get when you get the achievement for all the 10 plants or whatever? It gives you a map that marks where all the seeds are.
Oh, cool.
What good does that do you? Matt, closing thoughts on Kobo, and then afterwards I want to hear how everyone's standard cal, what did they look like? What kind of gear were you rocking? So go ahead, Matt.
All right, just a couple of things. One, just to like, piggyback on, what Chipotlebear was saying is, I think like, at least I thought they were pretty transparent on like the collectibles, right? Like, and if you want to go out and do that, this is what you're going to get. You're going to get a mullet. You're going to get like a new jacket. And there were some pretty epic boss fights that you never would have come across. And then like you got like, whoa, like you would not have seen that hairstyle, but it was all cosmetic, which, if that's not your thing, then I like ended up skipping a lot of them too, because, I like found a look and I stuck with the look.
Yeah,
just to let you know, the back to tank, right, is what it's like in the lore, it's what heals you, right? So Vader had it.
That's what
from dying.
So it's like a liquid
when Luke was in the
healing
water.
agent.
Yeah.
Right. It's a liquid healing agent. So what I thought was really cool about, learning about what's his name? Dagan Gera is that throughout the advertising of this game, you saw Cal walking around this tank, and this was a mystery person.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was pretty cool, like a cool reveal of who this was. And it's like, oh, damn, it's a Jedi. That's awesome. And then within minutes, it's like,
yeah,
oh,
but you
damn,
knew. Did you know that he was going to be bad right away? You
No,
knew, right?
so I was 50-50.
I was 50-50 as well.
I knew it was bad.
Here's the thing. It made sense for him to be bad, but he came out good. So it gave you that, like, wait a second, he could be good. And you didn't know when it could have happened, but it happened right away. And like, you just saw the transformation. You saw the saber turning to red. I thought that was nice.
Cool.
I thought that was pretty cool.
But back to that before we describe our cows. Can someone explain? So why was he so mad? He just didn't trust.
So Tanalor was the answer.
Yeah,
and
I get that.
Now we're going further into like different chapters.
Okay, well let's wait. Let's wait. So tell me your Cal. Tell me your Cal.
No, hang on. One quick thing about the Dagan thing. I agree with Matt. Because I was 50-50, thought like this could be like a partner, right? Like a cool like addition. It could be the bad guy. But I thought it was I thought it was cool to have someone that was new to the lore of Star Wars that's a villain. That's not. I mean, I know we had the sisters too, right? The 7th sister, 9th sister, but those were like lieutenants. Those weren't like a true evil person. I thought it was cool that we were getting a cool villain that was brand new. I just want to throw that out there.
But you didn't think it was a little cliche, like the Jedi gone bad to Sith, like
well, but
here's Star Wars is pretty cliche.
Yeah,
you know I mean? Like I'm not saying that in a bad way. I love Star Wars.
Yeah, it's a standard formula.
It really fit.
Because the other part is think about like Z we find and realize like,
love Z.
She's thousands of years old, and so I was kind of like, oh, this is like 1,000-year-old Jedi. Like that's a cool addition to the story.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
Yeah, anyway,
okay,
back to Cal.
Matt, what did your Cal look like?
In the end, I ran with a full beard, and I went with the man bun.
Oh, nice. So a grizzled veteran.
he was like a trendy from like Brooklyn type of Kobo,
Okay. I'll go next. Mine had the exact same shirt and pants. Basically, I always try to go with what they envision the Cal looks like on the cover, right? With that, but except my vest was red, white undershirt, black pants, dual white sabers, white standard sabers, and then clean shaven as he could be. It was a scruffy beard, kind of like this, and then mohawk. That was my Cal. He was a young, but slightly angsty.
Did you just
Jedi.
describe your face as a scruffy beard? That is not.
Well, I
The
meant like
5 o'clock shadow.
5 o'clock shadow. He definitely had like it said clean shaven, but he had a 5 o'clock shadow.
Right.
So Bacon, I mean, we already know yours. Go ahead.
I went with Arkansas Trailer Park Cal. I went a full working active mullet, and I had just the handlebar mustache,
Oh my
rocking
gosh.
nothing but the wife
Tank.
beater
Yep, I knew it.
and pink blades. He tore up that universe.
We didn't even talk about the so my go-to was the dual blades, and then I went with the one, just the single. I know Jose praised the cross guard. I just kind of like the single. I felt like it was
and
a good
dual. I
balance.
like the bow staff, the Darth Maul.
See, no, I didn't do I never did the,
I did the Darth Maul.
And so Jose and Matt, what were your colors for your
I
sabers?
did I mained dual, and I switched that second one around. I used the blast, although not very
not very
lore
Blaster was
friendly.
cool when you would wait to them, and then you did just to shoot them right when they got up close
Right,
to
but
you.
yeah, I mean, I found a nice
About
couple of,
once.
like add-ons, but I went green.
Of
Green,
course,
you know,
of
in lore,
course. I
green
knew
in
you were
lore
gonna
has a
say
lot
that.
of power in green.
It's classic, bud.
You know, like I wanted to go orange, but orange is that like in between, like turning red sort of thing. So
I
was
wish,
like, you know, I really wanted to stick like lore friendly, but you know, he had that man bun because he's been gone for 5 years.
Okay, long
And
hair.
He just hasn't gotten a haircut, and he just tossed that up. You know what I mean?
Jose, let's hear yours.
I also went with the mullet. There was like the shaved on the sides mullet, and I did the long like hipster beard.
Okay,
so I was like a very hairy individual. And then I did the white shirt too, the cloud, whatever you started with, and then I did change the jacket once. I don't remember which one I had, but that was it. I also did I started with gold blades because I was like, I want to be a little different. But I went to Dan. I like the white blades. That's what I was for the majority of the game.
Son of a gun. So wait, I don't know if it'll show. Oh, dang that light.
I didn't know you could get a cow that worked at Target. That's interesting.
he's a greeter at Walmart.
There's my cow for you audio listeners. Check out the video. Look at that sweet looking cow. Look at that.
Good looking cow.
And
He's
then
good-looking
I
guy.
mean, we could talk all day about how we, you know, upgraded BD and stuff.
Oh,
See, I
had
never
all day.
updated BD. I left them standard BD. I got all those pieces for all those stupid collectibles. Didn't do anything with them. Let's move on to chapter. What are we on? Chapter 3.
4.
Three.
No,
We're on 3.
Yeah,
We're on
3.
3.
Yeah.
On Jeddah, Cal reconnects with Marin. The duo travel the desert lands while facing death storms and enemies. He reunites with Seer and also meets. What is it? Was it Eno? I can't remember. It was Ono or Eno? How do you say his name? Eno? Cordova.
Eno Cordova?
Who is a Jedi master and Seer's master, and he was BD1's original owner. And it's a surprise that he's alive, as many presumed him dead. It seems he was actually hiding on Jeddah all along. Seer, meanwhile, is on Jeddah to restore the Jedi Temple archives and has also founded the Hidden Path to help shelter Jedi and Force sensitives from the Empire. The location on Jeddah is intended to be a safe house, with the entire operation hidden from the eyes of the Empire. One thing I appreciated about Jeddah was I think there were those 3 places you had to go to. They're like little temples and that you had to move the balls around and like those little puzzles and stuff. And if you complete that, Jose, I don't know if you ever did that, and go to the middle, there's one final temple there. And when you go to the bottom of that will mark a bunch of stuff on your map, Jose. So that would have helped you. I don't know if okay. So Jeddah, what did you tell me your guys' thoughts, Jose? Why don't we start with you on your Jeddah adventures? I can't really remember what else happened. Like, it was cool reuniting with Marin, right? Like, that was a big deal.
Because I remember that, and I, to be fair, I kind of wish I had done the playthrough of the original Star Wars Fallen Order, because that would have helped me a little bit. Because I remember there was like the very much like we were kind of.
She was at the very end of the game, right?
She was like the witch. Well, on the witch world, it was really hard to beat, actually.
Yeah.
So I thought that was cool to bring her back and see her. And again, I was like missing context from the past. So I wish I had replayed, and I wish I read that book that Matt was talking about. But I thought it was cool, man. I mean, I really liked the platforming in this game. Like Dan said it right. I think it was fun to play. And it was
fun to move, the movement. Especially once you got the dash.
Yeah, of course, because you could get everywhere with that. But that was also something that I think I missed a little bit in the first game. As you get abilities, you really feel like you're growing as a character. And with this one, because he kept almost everything except like the dash, it didn't have that same sense of like accomplishment, I guess, towards the end of the game, even to the
But
middle
it
of the
gave you
game.
so much freedom from the beginning, Jose. I appreciated it.
I do, except it didn't.
Yeah, you really
with
felt
the-
like a Jedi I thought you felt like a Jedi.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree, but it was weird. It was a weird, like I felt unfulfilled a little bit there because I wasn't like getting a new ability at each place that we were going. And I'm not complaining. Don't think that I'm complaining. I just thought I noticed it when I got to Jeddah, and I was like, it's really just more of kind of the same in a different location because you fight the same super stormtroopers. You do fight eventually like an AT-AT and an AT-ST, which is cool. Like they were cool to see those in the game.
Like
is that not till later?
No, you're good. But what was the coolest battle on Jeddah where I was like, okay, this game has gotten me? I sent it to you.
Yes. So that is the part that I really love. So when you get into the temple and like the Empire is now
correct,
they found Jeddah and you've got to.
Is that later on? Am I spoiling? Am I trying?
You are. Yeah,
you
guys are ahead of yourself.
Okay, I'm sorry. So the first time in Jeddah, it was cool. I love reuniting with Seer. I like seeing Marin. I liked it at that point. Like the crew was back together. You know what I'm saying? Because they agreed to help and do this stuff.
This is after. You're right. You're right.
So it was cool. I don't have much more to say.
Anything else? Anybody else have anything quickly to say about the first encounter at Jeddah or anything that stood out to you?
I mean, I just think like you guys said it, like, you know, Cordova being like alive because you only saw him through holograms.
Yes,
he didn't exist.
See, you're reminding me of a lot, Matt, which makes me think I should have watched a better like video,
or at least watch like a really good
a good recap
video recap. But you know, you only saw Cordova through those holograms through BD, so the fact that he was alive was a pretty big deal. And then Marin coming back, or Marin being with Seer that entire time, right? So like you guys were saying it, Jose was saying it, she's one of the Night Sisters of Dathomir.
Yes.
That was pretty that was challenging. And Marin is like, did you have to fight Marin? Now I'm even forgetting.
Yes,
so
you fight Marin in the first game. Yes.
So I mean, you know, that's a big deal. But I'm nerding out, guys. But if you read the book, there is some heat between Cal and Marin, and there's even a little love triangle.
Saucy.
Is this canon or is this fan fiction?
This is Cal is canon. This is canon.
No, I know he's canon, and all of this is supposedly canon.
I'm pretty sure everything.
Dude, here's the thing: are we going to see these characters in a real movie someday? Like, wouldn't that be cool?
I thought the rumor was that Cal could
make an appearance in a show or something. Dude, he has to, right? Come on, bring him on. He's been
bring him into that timetable.
Well, so I do want to say, what did you guys think of the whole sandstorm part and like running from the AT-STs? By the way, it's canon. I heard them say AT-STs. It's not AT-ATs, okay? AT-AT and AT-ST. I don't want to hear that caca anymore.
Who says AT-AT?
Who said AT-AT?
Colin and Dagan, Matt, say
so they're wrong.
I'm like, you guys are idiots. But anyway.
Man, my face got too close to the camera and it's blurry again.
Yeah, it's okay. Bacon, anything to add here, or should we move to the next part?
I'll just add real quick. Jeddah is always my favorite area in anything.
Really?
Since Rogue One and the connection in that movie with Jeddah and the guards. Dude,
I haven't
seen Rogue One?
No, I've seen Rogue One. I've seen it once.
That is the best Star Wars movie of any of the Star Wars movies.
It's the best spin-off, but not the best Star Wars movie. When I think of Star Wars, I think of Jedi, Sith, not just
normal people,
not random
normal
Jedis who aren't Jedis, but feel I am the Force. I'm one with the Force, but I'm not really the Force. Anyway,
normal people who caused the destruction of the Death Star.
Shout out though to that droid. What's the droid's name in Rogue One? He was cool.
Oh yes.
What is his name? He's got a good name too. Come on, Matt. What's his name? Gosh, I'll look it up. But anyway, sorry, you just love Jeddah. So moving on to the next chapter, chapter 4, repairing the devices. Now armed with some understandings on how to proceed, Cal heads back to Kobo and he's going to go to the Shattered Moon to collect some devices. However, they learn that the Empire's forces are searching for them on Kobo. Cal and Marin rush to Pilgrim Sanctuary to ensure Brother Armias' safety. Upon their arrival, Brother Armias hands over some contact codes that cannot fall into the enemy's hands, and then he's moments later is killed by the Empire's onslaught. Amid the sequence, Marin kisses Cal. Gosh, I love this moment. And protects him from danger by giving him her charm, indicating her strong skin from. So this is the point where you get that cool power where you can go through the green walls and do the teleporting a la Titanfall, going back through time and stuff like that. Just an awesome little mechanic in the game. So this is where it happens. Is it, or is this later on? I can't remember where. Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, because you get it, and that big fight happens.
Yeah, and that big fight, and yeah, this is all during the kiss and everything. And then they return to the archive. Cordova has successfully repaired the devices, and it appears Centauri created a compass to guide the people to Tanalorr. The group also learns that there's a Jedi temple on Tanalorr, but the Order abandoned it during a conflict with the Nihils. Empty Kennedy? I don't know what I'm saying there. However, through more flashbacks, Cal discovers, is it Dagan or Dagan? I can't remember him saying his name.
Dagan Gera. They said Dagan Gera.
Dagan? Okay.
In the
Or
game.
Dagon.
Are you sure it's Dagan? I thought it was Dagan. Anyway, he wanted to defy the Order and fight for Tanalorr. In the end, it was Centauri who cut off his arm and placed him in the Bacta tank to prevent him from taking the compass. So his girlfriend, right, betrays him? Am I right?
His love interest. I wouldn't say girlfriend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cal returns to Kobo with contact codes only to find that the Bedlam Raiders kidnapped Z. Cal and Bode head to the Lucre Hulk, where the enemy forces are holding her. While Cal is on Lucre Hulk, Ravis steals the tuner from Cal at Dagon's order, and Cal soon finds out that Dagon wants to use the Z to activate the Forced Ray, and Ravis is oath bound to Dag. Oh yeah, that guy I'm remembering now. That's the big guy, and force him that once the tasks to free him once the tasks are complete. Cal finds Z, but he must fight I gotta look this up. Does he say Dagan, Jose? I'll just say Dagan. Dagan
again in the game. Dagan Gera. That's what they said in the game.
And Bode arrives to assist in his battle. Stupid Bode. However, Dagan still managed again to retreat. How many times do you fight Dagan, by the way? Was it 3 times at least? I feel like it was a few times.
Second time. I think it's 3 times.
Okay, so yeah. So we kind of skirted over the first time you go to the Shattered Moon. So do we have anything to say about Shattered Moon or this sequence? Bacon, why don't we start with you on this one?
Not much to add on that, but the name of the robot was K2SO.
K2SO. God, I was going to look that up. Sorry. Shout out to K2SO on Rogue One. Matt, let's hear your lore on this part of the story here. So explain. I'm still confused. Why was Dagan? He just didn't trust. He just was being selfish. What were his motivations?
So Tanalorr was like special because it's a place where the Empire couldn't get to them.
Yes, I understand.
And I remember even thinking, like, when I was playing the game, I was like, how does that work? Like, the Empire can get everywhere. And then obviously we'll see that later on in the game, and it makes a lot more sense. But
hence why the compass was created. Like,
exactly.
Like
the compass was a way to.
Does this tie into another Star Wars movie? I feel like, wasn't this kind of mentioned?
No.
Weren't they trying to? Yes, in The Rise of Skywalker, didn't they have to find something to find the Sith planet or Sith area or whatever? Yeah.
I mean, they might have mentioned Tanalorr.
Yeah, but it wasn't.
But I mean, just that the device navigating. Sorry.
No, and so Dagan wanted to build an army on Tanalorr and like attack the Empire, and Centauri was like, no, we need to treat this as a haven for Jedi.
Different motivations for what the Jedi should use with a secret plan for. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, Matt, go ahead.
I don't even remember what I was saying, but I mean, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, I think all the lore and everything that you saw here is pretty much what.
Okay, so this was the cool part where the fight where you are running with Marin.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? The giant, like, what was that thing? That enemy? Was it?
It wasn't
like it was like a random Empire robot enemy or something.
No, it was like a drill. The drill. You talking about
the drill enemy? Whatever that thing was.
They were drilling in
to this temple
to try to get into Jedi temple. Yeah.
So such a cool moment in the game was running, using Marin's portals, and then even that where Cal gets to the end and slices it in slow motion. At that point, that's where I'm like, I am all in. Game of the year contender. Loved every second of it. Kissing Marin. By the way, I thought Marin was going to die at some point. And I was like, no, not her. Or I thought she was going to turn on me because Bacon was like the twist. And I was like, oh, not her. Please just don't let my bae, anything happen to her. So, and you guys have anything to add before we head into the final parts of the game?
I was with you, Dan. That sequence of like the flying through the air and then like running, like I really enjoyed that sequence, even though I actually died a lot. It took me a little bit to get through it because of all that stuff. It was just
because
fun.
It doesn't really explain to you that you need to use her portal right away. Like that's not clearly explained. You understand going through it, but then the portals, they kind of just like, hey, jump into this. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, that's it. I really, it was really fun. And like that was like, this is what games should be like, totally just bananas, but so much fun and a cool part of a cool story. And like, it was great.
Okay, so now we're in chapter 5, Deception. After defeating Dagon again, the crew must travel to the Shattered Moon again to track down Ravis and attempt to retrieve the compass. Again, I actually really liked the Shattered Moon as a set piece. I think that perfect length, size. I keep going back to it, Jose. For an area, I love the traversal, just the beautiful set piece of the galaxy in the background. I really enjoyed Shattered Moon. That might have actually been my favorite part in the game. And then the part with that beam that was like
running through the
laser
tunnel.
beam. Yeah, that was super cool. So back to the story. Cal defeats Ravis in battle, and he goes down honorably in combat after submitting to Cal. Cal then returns to Kobo and makes his way to the observatory. Do we want to stop right there? Isn't this the beginning of where we see Cal or like making that change, Jose? Because I remember you wanted to talk about no, I guess it's when they get to the observatory. So we'll for sure in the observatory. So we'll keep going. He makes his way to the observatory to obtain the compass. Here he will faces his final battle against Dagon and ultimately triumphs. With Dagon defeated and Cal in possession of a broken compass to Tanalorr, Cal realizes they can use Tanalorr as a place to protect Jedi and Force sensitives, making it a refuge for the hidden path and the archive. Cordova repairs the compass, but then there's a sudden surprise twist. And the one I knew I sniffed it out from the beginning. Screw this guy, Bacon. I hate him. Bode is a secret agent for the Imperial Security Bureau. Bode kills Cordova and takes the repaired compass for his own use. And there's one more twist. Bode is also a Jedi survivor.
Did you catch that twist though, Dan? That he was a Jedi? Because I didn't get that one. I knew something was up with him in terms of like he was going to turn on us. Oh,
because
no.
But I knew, I was like, I don't like this guy.
I loved Bode from the very beginning.
Really?
What?
I was just jealous. I was just mad at that he had the jetpack and he wouldn't just carry my ass around. Like I was like, I know you can lift me up. You're gonna make me climb all the way up there and be like, I'll beat you up there in 3 minutes. Like that upset me.
No, I didn't like Bode from the beginning. Go ahead, Matt. What were you saying?
Bode. I also think like I have a soft spot for the actor too. He was in
really?
Forbidden West.
Oh.
He played
I haven't played it.
Kentor or whatever he was, the guy with the one arm. Bode was like, he turned into like your bro. You know what I mean? There was like a bromance between. You didn't feel that?
No. Forced. I hated Bode.
Forced.
Back me up, Bacon.
Yeah. I mean, I liked Bode, but
you did?
I did for the most part. It was just good to sidekick.
He was just a good dude.
Marin and
Marin's a different story, all right? Marin, but Bode was just a good dude. Now, seeing the plot twist of Bode being
a Jedi,
the bad guy, being the bad guy was like, all right, like
it makes not being another survivor.
Exactly. And then
so what was the motivations? Just protecting his daughter
well, that comes further in, but it's like the whole thing was and I think Cal even said it. How did he not sense that he was a Jedi?
Yeah.
And that opens up like, an entire new part of the game. Right?
Hasn't that happened before in Star Wars? I feel like,
I mean, sure, it's happened at some point, but like,
what about
but I mean, why did it happen here? Like, who is Bode and why is he so special? that happened.
I don't think he is that special, but let's move on with the story. So this is where all mayhem breaks out after, he makes the switch and he's the traitor, and Cal gets hurt, right? And I can't remember exactly how did he, what,
because
you think he dies, right?
No, because Bode kills Cordova, which was like a big moment.
Yeah, that was
and
a
Seer's
big deal.
like, get him. And so you have to do the speeder bike race, which was pretty fun,
the speeder
short-lived,
bike
right?
part.
And then you both crash, and then you have to fight Bode, and like he basically just destroys you. And like, I know we haven't talked a lot about the difficulty of the bosses, but I really loved in this game that the parry was really crucial for me, because in not having that in Fallen Order, I just died a lot because I wasn't that good at like watching patterns and stuff like that. But this one I could learn in because of
I didn't even remember, Jose.
Elden Ring.
The other one didn't have a parry?
I don't think it was as prevalent as this one. I could be wrong. It's been that long since I played it.
I think it was.
But that I thought, okay, Bode, like, cool, I'm gonna have a chance, and he killed me in like 3 seconds flat. And I thought it was gonna make me restart and do that whole sequence again. But then you actually fall down a cliff and you're injured, and then you transfer to Seer.
Yeah. So I do remember that fight. I remember that fight. I'm like, why is this happening? I thought I was doing well against him. Like, I didn't have much problems with him as a boss. But then where we transfer to Seer, this is where I had trouble. Basically, you play a Seer, and then again, I don't know how I feel about this.
I thought
she encounters Darth Vader, and then you have this fight, and unfortunately, she dies to him. But what did you guys think of the Vader? This is Bacon where I had trouble too. This is the one where I was like, this sucks. I would get to the third phase of Vader, and then he would pull that cheap move where he'd like throw something at you or something, and I would die every time. What I hated is, like Bacon mentioned, you spent all this time building up your awesome Jedi and Cal, and then you have to play as her, and she's like limited with health, limited in move set and stuff like that. So Bacon, tell me your thoughts on, did they really need to have Darth Vader in the game again? Like, or did this feel a little forced? And talk to me. You're muted, Bacon.
Big dog.
Sorry. It did feel forced to me. That was the most frustrating part of this whole game for me, was the Darth Vader fight. But to touch back on Bode, my jaw was on the floor during this whole sequence when he turned and everything was revealed. I was just like, major twist. I want to spoil it so bad. And I've been waiting for you guys to play this game for so long. I'm like, why? But yes, to be forced to fight Vader, basically with one hand tied behind your back. And I mean, the movesets were different. Everything was different about that. And that is the one time I had to lower the difficulty. I think I went against him 15 times. And I'm like, I can't do this with her. And it was terribly, terribly frustrating. And it just didn't need to be there. I mean, did they need to kill her? That just doesn't make sense. And it does feel like, hey, it's a Star Wars game, so it has to have freaking Darth Vader in it. That's just how it has to be. That's what it felt like to me. But Chipotle got his finger up.
Jose.
So here's the thing. When it happened, Bacon, I was with you, and I literally, the moment where Darth Vader crashes in, I laughed out loud, like, oh, okay, that's like they're clearly just like bringing it in. To be fair, I don't know. I am not good at video games like you two are, but I beat it on the 4th try. Like,
look at this guy bragging.
I beat it on like the 4th or 5th try. This to me was not the hardest.
But
that was hard side for me, hands down.
Oh no. But it was a patience thing for me. We'll get to the hard one.
We'll go back. Yeah.
See, Bode was not.
I learned that I couldn't attack strong with Seer because I was with Cal. That's why I had my two stances. My double bladed thing, I could go real fast. If I needed to.
That cross guard.
The cross guard was if I wanted to be like slow, and that's how I beat Vader, was the cross guard, because I couldn't only get like one hit at a time, so I had to time it, and then you do one, and then you're basically defense and dodging and stuff. Anyway, that's beside the point. As I've thought about it more, Bacon, I actually think it's a cool thing for them to do, because the truth is, in the Star Wars universe, really, there's no evil like Darth Vader. Even though, like, canon-wise, he kind of should be gone at this point. It's just been so long and he's old and stuff. But just like, I think it was a smart move for them. And here's the reality, because of where we're going to talk about as the game gets to the end. It was important for Seer to die, because Cal needs.
That's a good point.
He needs bad things to happen to force not positive choices. Does that make sense? Because very altruistic, and he needs some like he has had a lot of crisis in his life, but like he needed. It was kind of like we either have to lose Marin or Seer or Grease, and like I would have picked.
Dude,
Seer
I would have put the
choices,
game.
You know what I mean? So anyway, Matt, what were you going to
wait? Before I throw it over, Matt, before I just want to mention this. So when Cal, after he finds Seer and is devastated, this anger and upset begins his flirtation with the dark side. I do want to establish that. Go ahead, Matt.
I'm very glad that Jose said that, because you like this game, and you as a player and Cal Kestis as a character needed Seer to die. Like we had to in this game, and Darth Vader and Seer have this untold story that a little bit about, but there's history between these two. So it was poetic, but it was also meaningful that she died by his hand. It only made sense. So when Darth Vader shows up, I mean, he is like Jose said, he is like the darkest presence in the Star Wars lore. And so when he showed up and you had control of Seer, like in my opinion, or just in my eyes, I already knew Seer was not making it out. Scene. And so it set up the dark side. It set up Cal losing control. It just started setting up like pretty much Act 2 of this game.
You're right. That is a great point. How it is setting thing up, but could have been killed by somebody else.
Nah, Darth Vader again, like playing the first game. Just recently, like there is.
You're right. There's that connection with him and Cal.
Have a history, and he has a history with Vader. Has a history with Seer. There's a history there.
I also just want to add just to go back a hot second, because I know we're going to move forward. I thought the final battle with Dagan Gera was really cool. That was actually decently hard for me, like getting through the phases of him when you like flip upside down and stuff like that. I had a little bit of trouble there. Still wasn't my hardest fight, but I thought it was a cool fight. I also do want to say the whole sequence where you are Seer and Cal and you're fighting the like onslaughts of Imperials and the AT-ATs and stuff. I thought that was a really
that was a cool cool sequence,
because you're just like hacking and slashing and forcing, and like it really felt like you were a Jedi in like a war, not just a one-on-one or a couple guys. So I had a lot of fun. Sorry,
great point, Jose. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that. That was like cool. Go ahead, Matt.
One last thing, and I can't remember, and for the life of me, I can't remember her name. The main villain in the first game, was it the Seventh Sister? Which sister was it?
I think it was the Seventh Sister.
Remember, that was Seer's Padawan, and Vader turned her.
Oh, yeah.
They have this like huge connection, and so
I really should have watched the first game.
He like I'm telling you, as like maybe cliche, and it's like the 8th time we've
second sister. It's a second
sister. It might be cliche that Vader came back, but man, did it make sense.
It all had purpose. Okay, you're right. All right, you're winning me over, Matt. Good. I'm glad we're having this discussion. The team figures out that Bode's tracker is still active. Marin, Grease, and Cal follow him to Nova Garon, an Imperial base. Here, Cal learns truth about Bode. He was a Republic Jedi working undercover during Order 66, but when the Empire found out his secret, they killed his wife. He made a deal to keep his daughter Kata safe from him, forcing him to become a double agent for the Empire and infiltrate the Resistance. It's his fault the Empire destroyed the archives and Seer is dead, and not to mention that he killed Cordova in cold blood. It becomes apparent that Nova Garon is an excursion, is a trap, and that Bode wanted Cal to destroy the base and all of its intelligence so he could take his daughter to Tanalorr, where she would be safe. Bode is adamantly opposed to using Tanalorr as a place to train Jedi because in his mind, the Empire would most certainly find out about it, and that would put his daughter in jeopardy. With this plan in mind, Bode escapes to Tanalorr, and then Grease, Cal, and Marin soon discover another way. Basically, they line everything up and they use the Force and a tracker to navigate through the abyss. They use the Force and just trust him. He guides them through. In Tanalorr, Cal must fight Bode while at the abandoned Jedi temple, while Kata, was it Kata, right? Tries to comprehend what's happening. While Cal gives Bode one more chance to repent, Bode chooses not to and instead tries to fire a shot at Cal, but his saber malfunctions, allowing Cal to shoot Bode instead of taking his former friend's life in front of Bode's own daughter. So we'll stop right there before the very end of the game. So the Novogaran part, that's where we see Cal making. That's where you get the force power to use the dark side, correct, Jose?
Yeah.
And you're just unstoppable. At that point, you use that, you're killing everything.
Every time it recharges, you're just like,
you're like, yeah,
crushing
but
this
you're
thing.
dead. You're dead. You're dead. This
That was
is
on the
easy
ISB
mode.
That was on the ISB base, right? That was on that base where he.
Yeah, it's on that base in the ice in the background looking place. Yeah, you go crazy on there. And so, Jose, I know this is the point you wanted to bring, because I remember you mentioned it. You're like, this changes. What did you say? Your words when we were talking about it? It changes how the Jedi are, or something. It changes like how Jedi lore. So you were saying something along that when you and Bacon were talking about. You're like, it's like a fundamental principle of how the Jedi act or something.
That you don't kill people. Like legitimately,
that was it.
Jedi don't kill people.
Except for stormtroopers.
Yeah, but
that's
again,
why they don't carry blasters.
Yeah, that's why they don't use guns.
I
That's
thought
why
it was him using the dark side as the big thing. Like that to me, I was like, whoa, he's flirting the line here. Yeah, like that to me.
But that was what was cool about the story for Cal, was that you're kind of doing this thing where like you like we just laughed about it. You like the dark side, like having that power. You're like bam, and
he almost loses it right there at the end, right? Because doesn't Marin come in at some point? It's like, hey, I need you to like focus on me, or like towards the whole end of that rage where they lose him or something. Yeah.
But what I was so interesting about was like the point where he meets Kata like in the room alone, because if in the game
and they're in the room at the base,
Bode's not there, and not that I thought Cal was going to ever hurt the child, like that never even crossed.
Yeah, where he's dressed up as an Empire,
walking around as an officer, walking past everybody.
Hey. Yeah, like they don't recognize
with my haircut and your mullet. Exactly.
My mustache.
But it was this question, because then Bode comes in, and Bode is very polite. You know what I'm saying? And it was at that point where I'm like, okay, I was like, what are we going to do here? Because the kid's coming with us. So like, are we going to murder her dad while she's with us, or are we going to turn Bode back? I just thought it was a very good story at that point of like, what is going to happen at this point? Because I knew we were going to
just walk out. He like just backs out with the daughter. How does he escape?
Yeah, he calls like a security.
The security,
and then you have to fight your way out.
That's when you start to.
Yeah. So anyway, this whole thing was incredible. Like a cool ending. I'll say my part and then I'll pass it over. Like the final bite with Bode, that took me forever. That was the one that the first
try, boys.
See, who's bragging now?
First try?
Yeah, but I sucked against Darth Vader.
Yeah, but dude, I could get the first section was fine, and then in the second and third one, I just could never. It was like the patterns and like timing changed on everything.
Really?
And I couldn't catch it
I didn't have any trouble with it upside. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool, and it just kept going.
Oh yeah, well, Dagon was fine, but Dagon was a little challenging. But man, this one it took me forever to get. And I just was very surprised by the ending of like that you kill Bode. Like I thought Bode was gonna like.
Why is it so surprising that we're killing bad guys? Yeah, exactly.
Bacon was like he had to go.
What he did on Jedi, he had to go.
Yeah,
exactly. Bacon, any closing thoughts on that Bode fight? Was he easier for you?
I want to say it was 3 or 4 tries before I did get through him, but I did want to bring up the whole walking around as a dressed up officer was like really. I think Mike and I were laughing at the same time during that. We're like, really, this is okay. A little cheesy there, but it was a fantastic way to wrap it up, and it just put a bow on the whole story. And it, Cal's struggle with the dark side and his emotions, and like you could see he was right there at the precipice, and it just. And maybe, and it was probably Marin that brought him back.
I was just going to say Marin's influence
maybe saved the entire galaxy, because we could have had another Darth Vader on our hands.
Matt, what are your thoughts on that base part and the final the final battle with Bode?
I think the presentation about Cal, that struggle with the dark side, I think the presentation was really cool. They really dug into the fact that, he was okay and he embraced it, but he like won that struggle. Because like, I mean, all Jedi go through it, right? Like the dark side is there.
Yeah.
Like, the whole thing
It's
with
part of the
Anakin
training, right?
Skywalker,
That like we
right?
teach
The
you
whole
about
thing
it,
with Luke
yeah.
Skywalker.
Oh yeah,
right?
Luke in the tree, the random tree with Darth
So-
Vader being in it.
So I mean, it was a very cool, that was cool to see that it exists, and now that you had this ability and that you can control it. And then the Bode fight, that was the hardest fight for me. I think this last leg of the game was the most difficult because it was boss fight after boss fight after boss, and it was just they kept ramping them up and getting harder and harder. So this was the most difficult fight for me. It probably took me a good dozen times. I think I even had to put the controller down for the night, and then like maybe the next day I beat it on like the first try.
Yeah.
But I mean, bravo. I like I said, I love Bode, but you're right, Bode had to go.
You loved I find this
I
so,
loved Bode.
so closing scene here, and this got to me. Marin had to address the child, and she was talking about how she had lost her parents, right? And then they have a funeral for Bode Seer in Cordova, and in his mourning, Cal promises to build something in Tanalorr that will outlast the Empire. And then a vision of Seer appears to Cal, and she says, "Guide her through the darkness," presumably indicating not only that Cal will struggle with the darkness as we've seen, but that Kata will struggle as well. Are we implying that Kata is like a force sensitive, or like
her dad,
just like kids of
absolutely.
Jedi force sensitive or something? Like that to me, I was like, do we have to pick up the kid? Like, is this
you know where that
leading
worked
into-
really well? In God of War. So I'm just throwing that out.
or Last of Us.
Yeah.
So I really did like the scene, and I even took like a picture of them all together there at the funeral at the burning. Obviously, we always see that with the burning of the Jedi and stuff like that. So that was very cool. Bacon, closing thoughts on this before I lose you over there.
No, it was fantastic. I mean, I just wonder if that's gonna be the next leg of the story.
It's clearly setting up a third game, right?
Yeah,
A trilogy.
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
She'll be what's supposed to balance the Force. I don't know. Who knows?
Jose, before I throw it to Matt, why don't you go ahead? Closing thoughts on the ending.
I just kind of tying into when you obviously kill Bode, she does see you do that, not because she's like sitting right there, but she kind of walks in as it's happening. I thought she was she didn't cry. I thought that was like a little
it was a little
she was like very calm, like he made bad choices.
Basically.
And I thought that was a little bit extreme, although she's obviously had a lot of trauma in her life because of her mom dying and that kind of stuff. And I thought it was cool the way that they just said we're gonna basically take her in and support her and that kind of stuff. I like the ending. I thought it was very like appropriate with the burning of the Jedi and of course the dad and stuff. I thought it was very satisfactory. The Bode thing was a cool twist. I thought the ending was cool, but I didn't think it was like a momentous, incredible ending to the game. I thought it was like, yeah, thumbs up, cool. Obviously setting up the trilogy that'll come at some point down the road. And like, in my opinion, I think they would be very dumb not to have Cal Kestis show up in the movies or shows, because obviously the actor looks exactly like Cal. It's not like an embellished version of him. That's what he looks like. So I imagine that's going to happen at some point. But otherwise, yeah, that was my thought to the ending, and we'll talk about ratings here in a minute.
Yeah. Matt, closing thoughts on the game.
I mean, I thought it was cool. They adopt her onto into the crew. So obviously we've got a new crew member. We'll see what happens in terms of progression in the next game, how many years go by. But I think the really interesting thing is Tanalorr exists, and what's going to happen with this, safe haven, moving into
what's going to happen with Cal. Are we concerned about Cal, guys? Or do you think he's a solid straight shooter, good guy?
I think
it depends on what happens to Marin.
Yeah,
you got an Amidala situation right here with Anakin.
You can't. You're not allowed to be in love.
Well, something obviously happens soon because we don't see him in any future movies, right? So he dies somehow. That's going to be the canon. But Bacon, give us your TNC official rating for the game. I think we all know what this is, a Game of the Year contender for me. But go ahead.
For me, my personal one would be 5 out of 5, just for my love of Star Wars and love for anything Star Wars related. For the general public, some people might not be into the Souls-like combat, and there could be some people that have no idea about Star Wars. So as a general rating, I would probably have to give it a 4 out of 5, just because it might not be absolutely for everyone, but it's going to be for most.
I'll go quickly, and I'm right there with Bacon. I give it a 5 out of 5 on personally a must play on our scale. I said pros, platforming and exploration, powers and force challenges, story, characters, beautiful art and graphics. Most of the combat I enjoyed. Cons, the performance, Kobo's size, and some of the combat. I feel like, again, I said this before, it would play better if it was just a normal hack and slash, use your force powers, Jedi Outcast, Jedi, those other older games kind of game. Not so much of the more Souls emphasis. I don't even know if that really added anything besides the parry, like the leveling. And did you guys ever really have problems where you lost like so much experience or stuff? Like I didn't feel like it was as, devastating as the Souls game. So yeah, but otherwise 4 out of 5. I can't ignore some of the random performance things and sometimes how it looked like it's slowing down. So Chipotlebear, what would you give this? This is definitely one of the top 5 games for me I've played this year. I'd say Hi-Fi Rush, this, Metroid Dread, but that doesn't really count for this year. But go ahead, Jose.
So I think it's pretty close on the numbers. For myself, I had a great time with it, but I'm a big Star Wars fan. Like I like the lore. I know a lot of the history of it. Like, so 5 out of 5 for me was a must play. If you're a Star Wars fan, you will have a great time. Despite my complaining about all the little things, they're just that. They're little things that are annoying because I like to play games and I want things exactly the way I want. But overall, great game. If you're not a huge Star Wars fan, I give it a 4. I think that's very fair. It's a great game. If you don't know the lore, you'll still have fun. You just won't really understand everything. It'll just be like, yeah, there's this dude with like weird friends and this chick with like a weird green power, but like she's hot and like
I loved her comedy and her sense of humor though. Yeah. She was hilarious.
She has like Russian humor to me, very like dry, like a Black Widow type character.
Yep.
But I will say though, for all the hype that it got when it came out, because I didn't play it right when it came out. I think I just really expected more. I don't
really.
I think that's so unfair because I think it was a great game.
You still like the first one more, Jose? Or you still feel that way?
I don't think I can say because I haven't played it in so long, but I think I enjoyed the first one more because the game before that I played was Force Unleashed, and I thought Force Unleashed was great and a cool story and everything like that. But Fallen Order took everything to such a high level in terms of combat and fluidity and your growth and stuff. And this one maintained that, which I appreciate that it didn't just start you again as like you lose all your powers. I don't like when games do that in the sequel. But how do you attain to the next level? Like they did such a good job with Fallen Order that it's hard to push forward. And so it's like it's an unfair calculation. Again, it was a great game, but I guess what I'm saying is I have real big expectations of the third one, especially if it's a trilogy to round this out. You got to do some pretty big and epic stuff to make it great. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would say.
Matt, what would you give it? And do you prefer this or Fallen Order?
I thought this was a better story than Fallen Order. I thought I think that the gameplay, I think they made a lot of fixes. I think there was just better mechanics. You weren't sliding down those damn ramps everywhere all the time.
Yeah, that's fair.
This, on your guys' scale, this is a 5 out of 5 must play game.
A must play.
This is a game of the year contender for me as well. I had a blast. I love Star Wars. It's one of the best Star Wars games I've played.
Absolutely.
I don't
with Jedi Fallen Order though.
Yeah. Now you guys played it all on Xbox. I played it day one on PlayStation 5. I will say I never had any issues other than ghosting. I know a lot of people had crashes.
I saw the ghosting too.
I never had a single crash, and I heard a lot of people had crashes on PlayStation, and thankfully I never had a crash.
Were you playing performance or quality? Because I saw frame rate issues on performance.
I played it on performance. I switched back to quality every now and then. There was like an update that actually made it a little bit worse. I had to turn off. I turned
motion blur. Probably.
I turned off motion blur. I turned off a few things on my monitor. It fixed it a bit, but it just. That ghosting never went away. Yeah. And there were certain parts of the game where it really I had to put a controller down and walk away. It took me out of it, but it didn't it didn't do enough to ruin the game itself. So, not using your scale, this is still a 5 out of 5 game for me. I think if you're like terrible at Souls games like I am, this game has a freaking difficulty selection.
Yeah, you can change it.
You can pump it all the way down.
Oh, by the way, I do want to say that, Matt, when I was just going and collecting stuff, I dropped it easy. I'm like, I don't have time for this. I got to get through this. Just let me through. I just got to grab this collectible. And it was fun.
I played it on whatever the normal difficulty was. I thought there was a lot of care in the combat. I really had to think about things. I liked that it wasn't a hack and slash. I liked being able, and I felt like rewarded because I wasn't getting annihilated like I do like in like an Elden Ring. But I can't wait for a third game.
Yeah, me too.
This team does an amazing.
Respawn doesn't miss. I have to give them credit. Shout out to Respawn. Shout out to everyone who developed this game. Shout out to Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order and Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Both fantastic games, must plays. I personally got 1,000 on both games, and I would do it again in a heartbeat. Loved these games. Cannot wait for the third. Great discussion, review, and spoiler class. Boys, we are running long, so let's just close the show like we always do with the best food we had this week. Bacon, let's go with you. You look like you're halfway asleep over there, Bacon. You need to get a Red Bull so we can play some Redfall after this.
I've had nothing special to eat this week.
All right, moving on to Chipotlebear. What was the best? Actually, I'll go really quickly. I am like Bacon. I can't think of anything except for tonight. I had Chipotle. Standard, double meat, double chicken, all that. Oh gosh, I was a little disappointed though, Jose. Usually the one in Union knocks it out of the park every time. Got some guac tonight. It just had a big old chunk of avocado in there, and I was like, ooh, and it just a little weird. Something was off about it. It was not
the B squad. Yeah,
it was definitely not the A squad, but delicious nonetheless. So shout out to Chipotle. Also add 2 more breakfast burritos to the list. Last week after the show, how I said I wanted to go get 2 more, I literally drove and got 2 more that night right after the show. Add them to the list. Update the count. There it is. 30.
I got to update it. Sorry. Wrong button.
Breakfast burritos. As Chipotlebear is updating, MT Kenny 7 was the best food you had this week because you had a banger slanger week last week. I don't know how you're going to top that.
Yeah, I mean, I've been doing a lot of cooking myself this week. I had some meetings today at work. I got some meetings again tomorrow. It's 11:30 over here. I'm going to be suffering in the morning.
Sorry, dude.
But tonight I made like a tomato, my own tomato cream sauce, simple pasta dish. It was delicious. I think my father-in-law is a chef, and so his like the food I have had over the past 10 plus years has been amazing. But you know what? I think there might be a new guy in town.
Oh,
you know what I mean? I don't
challenger.
know.
Got to get the wife to see what she says between the two. Jose, what was the best food you had this week?
So we at my dad's house this week, we have family in town, and so he did burgers, but he did like the burgers with the cheese and bacon in the meat, so it all cooks like together, which was delightful. And then this past weekend we went to Chick-fil-A, which I had not been to in a long time, and it was delightful, dude. The restaurant was crazy. We went to the one by Colorado Mills, dude. That one is insane. There
really?
Was like
I always feel like the
team
Wadsworth one over there by Southwest Plaza is always massive lines.
Yeah, we don't go inside that one though. I guess I don't really know. And then just tonight we went to Jaime's, which is like a local Mexican restaurant. That was absolutely delightful. Mexican hamburger and tostada for me, which was delightful. So it's been a good week of eating just because it's been crazy with homecoming and got to get that energy in, man.
Ooh, good luck to Jose tomorrow night. His bonfire. Gosh, that's going to be a nightmare. Gentlemen, this has been the Nerd Chat episode 122 Star Wars Jedi Survivor review and discussion, and the night before Starfield, boys. Can you believe it? At this time tomorrow, we will be in the stars. I cannot believe it. I'm just... it's tomorrow, boys. It's here. 26 years in the making. We will be exploring the stars. Shout out to Todd Howard and his wonderful letter that we read at the beginning of the episode. My name is Daddy D-Wally. You can follow me at Daddy D-Wally across all social media. You can follow the show at the Nerd Chat Podcast or the Nerd Chat on all socials. Bacon. Actually, Toilet Bear, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter /X platform, Chipotle_bear, Instagram, Chipotlebear. And huge shout out to everyone for joining us again. I know it's not our normal night, so it's throwing people off, but everybody's just gearing up for Starfield Day. Nonetheless, if you liked what you see, make sure you go over like Matthew Kennedy's page on Twitter. Make sure you follow him for his streams. And of course, you would give us a thumbs up or a comment or anything. We greatly appreciate it, man. We just love doing this for fun and excited to talk more about games. In a week, we're going to have lots of thoughts. It's going to be great.
To be crazy. And X Bacon Gaming, the Starfield simp himself. Where can people find you?
You can find me at X Bacon Gaming across all your socials and gaming platforms. I do have one public service announcement for everybody. Needs to go play Bramble.
Oh, that's right. We got to save it for next week. Sorry, we got to save it for next week. MT Kitty said we don't have time. We don't have time. Creepy. Shout out to our guest star, Mr. Matthew Kennedy. Before I ask where people find you, I want everyone to spam his Twitch chat the next time he's streaming Final Fantasy Pixel Remastered and say, when are you going to play Halo co-op with Diwali? Because it's too late. We got too many games coming out. So go ahead.
We can do it. You got it.
Where can we find you?
Thanks for having me. MT Kennedy 7 on Twitter or X, whatever it's called now.
I keep forgetting
X
platform.
I know X platform, and you can check my stream. You can check me out on Twitch, mken10. And like I said, right after I'm done with Final Fantasy, we're going into Halo 2.
After
we're gonna do it.
Months of Starfield. Matt, I got an idea for you. Why don't you change your name to mken and then write out the word 10? Because this MT Kennedy 7 is throwing me off. Let's try to get this unification here.
I think I told you. So I had mken10 on Twitter like a decade ago.
The digits or the writing the number out?
I wrote the number. It was the digits. But I guess I abandoned that. Whatever. It's still attached to me somehow. So when I tried logging in again or making it, that handle already exists. But I own that handle, but I can't get on that handle. So I had to start from scratch.
Let's write that letter to Elon. As always, gentlemen, see you online.
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 Let's say that we actually do land on this. What's it going to be like up there?
200 degrees in sunlight, minus 200 in the shade, canyons of razor-sharp rock, unpredictable gravitational conditions, unexpected eruptions, things like that.
Okay, so the scariest environment imaginable. Thanks. That's all you got to say. Scariest environment imaginable.
We'll see you in the stars.
The Nerd Chat, an Xbox podcast, is a podcast celebrating all things gaming, food, and the good old days. The show was created by Daniel Walenzik, and you can follow him at Daddy Diwali across all social media. The assistant to the co-host is Jose Martinez, and you can follow him at Chipotle_bear. The assistant to the co-host is Chance Siegel, and you can follow him at BubbleBoyN7. The intern to the assistant to the co-hosts is Jason Jarrett, and you can follow him at XBaconGaming. You can also follow the show at The Nerd Chat across all social media. And if you'd like to find out more about the show, visit nerdchatmedia.com.